What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is January 4th, 2024. My name is Chris Drummond. I am a sports reporter, broadcaster based out of Southwest Minnesota. I also put this self-made podcast together, Work Hard, Play Harder. And I have a special guest that's going to be coming on with me today. Her name is Lauren Sweeney Brown. She has been an investigative reporter for 9+ years. She's been an adjunct professor at Valencia College. She is a Penn State University grad, and she's making the transition from journalism to law. So we're going to talk to her about her why, of why she got into journalism and why she's making a transition. We're going to ask her some fun questions. We're going to see if there was any other choices outside of Penn State that she could have went to. So I'm looking forward to talking to Lauren and getting to know her beyond her occupation. So without any further ado, I bring to you the wonderful Lauren Sweeney Brown. Good afternoon, Lauren. How we doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. I have to say you look absolutely lovely, by the way. I have to say that. And I also want to say there's no problem. Definitely have to say that. And I just want to say thank you for your time coming on to my podcast here, Work Hard, Play Harder. I really do appreciate it. I want to ask you how your New Year's was.
It was good. It was kind of uneventful. I mean, we just went to a friend's house with the kids, and they stayed up really late, and yeah, uneventful.
I understand.
Let me ask you, how in the world did you find me and ask me to be on this podcast? It looks like you're a student, right?
Well,
are you a student?
No, I'm a graduate. I'm a college graduate. I am in grad school. I'm entering grad school, but
okay.
So here's how I found you. Here's how I say that. So I go through LinkedIn and I try to look for guests that are likewise like myself.
Okay.
Meaning journalists, because I'm a sports journalist and I'm based out of Minnesota. And I like talking to other journalists and finding out their why. Finding out why they got into journalism, find out what motivates them, who inspired them. Now, I know you've been a journalist and investigative reporter for over 9+ years, and I know you're making the transition to law now.
Yeah.
And I know you've been an adjunct professor as well, and I know you're a Penn State grad and all that and above. So I knew that I definitely wanted to talk to you and hear about your story, hear about how you came into there, why, and all that, but also wanted to ask some fun questions as well. This is a podcast.
Well, I appreciate that because I feel like plenty of people don't find me that interesting. So I'm absolutely flattered that you find me to fit in this mold. It's very nice to hear that. So I appreciate that.
Sure.
I was a journalist for a really long time, which is why I know how to take control of the conversation, which is what I'm trying to do to you right now. But I'll let you do your thing. My law school's in Minnesota. I get out there a couple times a year, but I don't live out there. So where are you, in Twin Cities, or where are you?
No. I'm in Southwest Minnesota. So I'm about a couple hours away from Twin Cities.
So what major city is that close to then?
Oh, the major city would be Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, okay. But then are you like closer to like Wisconsin then?
To South Dakota. So Sioux Falls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm like an hour and a half away from there, then 2 hours there. So I'm kind of in the middle of both.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So and so what's the major sports team there that you cover as a sports journalist?
So I cover high school and college.
Okay.
So what I do, I cover 12 high schools, and we have a university here called SMSU, Southwest Minnesota State University. And I cover them as well. So that's what I mainly do. However, I did get a chance to cover the Minnesota Timberwolves when I was doing state stuff up in the city. So I did a Minnesota Timberwolves game, and I wrote it for my publication. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think local sports, like local regional sports, is a lot of fun. And like there's still that sense of community where people care about it, but when you get onto like the more like professional level, it's all kind of been taken over by, like cable ESPN, Fox Sports Network and all that stuff. But like when you're still in that like local level, like you're doing, that's a lot of fun. People care about that too, you know, especially smaller communities. People need it. So
absolutely.
don't lose sight of that.
No question. You're absolutely right about that. I love feature story writing. That's probably one of my favorite things that I do as well. I write a lot of feature stories. I love covering the small town. It's different from where I came from because I'm originally from Chicago, born there, raised in San Diego, but also lived in Atlanta. So I've definitely lived in the big cities before. So coming to this city, which is very small, population is 12,000, it's different, but it's also pretty cool because it's a close-knit group. It's a close-knit community. And like you said, they care about the local sports. You see all the parents and the people, they shut down the stores here. They'll come to the big games. They'll do everything. They'll shut down their businesses and go to the games, which is great. Cool. It's like some movie stuff almost. So it's pretty cool.
That's nice. That's nice. So what do you want to know from me?
So basically, Lord, what I'm going to do is the first question I'm going to have is your why, right? What is your why of getting into journalism? Who inspired you? What were some of your role models?
So God, nobody's asked me a question about why I went into journalism for a long time, because lately it's been all, why did you leave it to go to law school?
Oh, we don't get there.
Yeah, I got to think about it for a minute. So I didn't really have anyone that inspired me to do it. And I didn't really have anyone that was a role model in terms of journalism. I just knew that as soon as I got a taste of it, I liked it. And that was as long ago as high school. So I just turned 40. So I was in high school. I graduated high school in 2001. So this is like 1999, 2000. I was, worked on our student newspaper, which at the time we were like the first high school in the state of Pennsylvania to have an online newspaper.
Okay.
It was a totally digital newspaper. So it was this like project of the computer science teacher and one of the English teachers. And so I worked for the online student newspaper, but then they also would publish our articles in like a community paper, right?
Right.
And it was cool because my grandma could read my articles, and I just remember her saying to me, "You really have a flair for writing. I really like reading your articles, But at the time, it was 2000, 2001. I knew that newspaper wasn't going to be the way to go. So from the time I went to college, I knew I was going to go into broadcasting, and I just sort of went from there. I really just liked that kind of like, human conversations that you have with people as a journalist, like what you're doing now.
Sure.
And I never stopped liking that. I still like that. And in being in law school, I've totally missed that. I've gotten to do a little bit of freelancing, but not enough. And I miss those sort of like, as a journalist, you're in so many people's living rooms, offices, whatever. I mean, you catch them on their most genuine days, and you just have these really honest conversations with so many people. So you have such a good understanding of, what they say, the human condition,
Absolutely.
And I fell in love with it at an early age, and I never really fell out of love with it. I still enjoy that. I still, I still think that that's one of the best parts about that profession, is how many different people you get to meet and understand, and how much, just understanding you have of the world, more so than any of my friends that didn't do that for 15, 20 years. You said 9+. I actually did it for 15 years. So I was, so if you count all the way back to when I was in high school, so from like 2001
right
until 2021, that's 20 years there. But from after college, 2005, 2006 was when I started working for professional news organizations. So been doing it a long time. And this is the first time in my life that I really haven't been. And it feels a little disjointed, but, we shall charge on.
Sure. Sure. Anything that you decide to kind of, step away from and do something new, it's always the unknown because you never know how that new journey is going to begin, start, or go for yourself. And obviously, you've been doing reporting and journalism for so long, and that's great. That's terrific. That's awesome. I love the reasoning that you said, getting into it. You do have conversations like these. I love meeting new people, wonderful people like yourself and others that I've had on this platform, just talking and even not talking to you on a recorded platform, right? I love talking to people in general. I love going to people's houses. I love writing not just about the games because anybody can find a box score, right? Anybody can do that. But when you write feature stories and human interest stories, people love reading that. I like when the moms cut out the newspapers and put it on the refrigerator and be like, that's my baby that I just got written about. So that's why I do it as well. No question about that. You touched up on your college, which was Penn State University. So you're an alumni of a Nittany Lion. Tell me, were there any other schools that could have persuaded you from going to Penn State?
So I didn't really have, so I'm like the generation that's like in between Gen X and millennial, right? So I still had the parents that sort of raised me like a feral cat, like where they were just off doing their thing. Like nowadays they would talk about my parents' generation as like, they were narcissists. They didn't do this, that, and the other, right? But like, that's just the way it was then, So my parents didn't really, my parents were both educated, went to college. My mom had a master's degree and all that. It wasn't like I was a first generation college student, but my parents didn't take me on college visits. They didn't expose me to things. They didn't inflame a passion in me. They knew I wanted to be a journalist. They were not supportive of that. So they just were kind of like, you're on your own, you figure it out, I've said this to Penn State when they've called me for money a million times. I should not have gone to Penn State. I probably should have gone to the University of Missouri.
Right.
It would have been better for my journalism career. Penn State really did nothing for my journalism career. I don't really I don't hate it, but I also, I did most of my journalism career in the South. Other than the fact that it was fun to be in newsrooms where everybody was from another big school. And so there was always somebody's team that you were playing, so there was always somebody that, was an Ohio State grad or a Michigan grad or whatever. And so that was fun, early in my career. But to tell you the truth, unlike most Penn State grads, after the scandal, I kind of just stopped devoting my weekends to watching Penn State football.
Sure.
I was just like, I'm not gonna die on this hill. And I lived in the South, so it was easy to be that way and just be kind of like a passive fan for a while. But I recently moved back to Pennsylvania, and that is a very unpopular opinion to have amongst other Penn Staters. Like they died on that hill. They're did not think the university did anything wrong. And I'm just like, no, no. It's ugly. It was ugly. And, and there's a lot of ugly stuff that happens in college sports, not quite to that degree, but, of course, you got Larry Nassar and things like that. And so you have ugly situations like that where people will look the other way for the name of the money that the sport brings in. And, I just never have been the same. I've just never been the same kind of fan for Penn State since. And I don't really feel like going there really did much for my career. And I think that if I would have had parents that would have helped me and been more interested in my passion, I probably wouldn't have ended up there.
Okay.
I probably would have ended up somewhere better, and I definitely encountered students in my journalism career that had gone to University of Missouri and had gone to, USC in California or, Arizona, which are better Syracuse, which are better journalism schools. I thought for a hot second about applying to Syracuse because my uncle was actually a TV news director in a small market. And he had told me Syracuse had a good broadcasting program. I thought about it for a hot second, but then I saw that, I was having to write all the checks. And I could get the money refunded from my parents. Don't please. I wasn't growing up poor or anything. But I was having to write all the checks, do all the applications myself. And it was just one of those things. I was already accepted into 4 schools, and Penn State was there, and I was like, do I really want to like apply to Syracuse? No. And my high school boyfriend went to Penn State. So that was like, okay, I'm going to go to Penn State because my high school boyfriend went there. Now, in the end of it all, my best friend in the world, she went to Penn State. She was assigned to me as my freshman roommate. Okay. So would I give up any of that? Like, I could have gone to Mizzou and I could have done this. No, I wouldn't give it up to not meet Jamie Bittner. Like, no, absolutely not. Her and I would have never crossed paths. We would have never been friends. And we've been crucial parts of each other's lives for many years, for many reasons. So she's maid of honor at my wedding. I mean, it would have never happened if I wouldn't have gone there. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But, your question was, could anything have persuaded you to not go there? Well, yeah, sure. If anybody would have taken an interest in what I was interested in as an 18-year-old, I probably wouldn't have gone there. Sure. But that just wasn't how I was raised, So
I feel that. No, I do. And I love asking that question because I get all kinds of schools, right? I get all kinds of schools that people applied to, they went to. Penn State, obviously, like you said, the scandal, everybody knows about that, especially who's involved in sports. I totally understand that. But you take the good with the bad. Like, University of Missouri, Syracuse, those are great broadcasting schools, journalism schools. But like you said, you never would have got a chance to meet your best friend, your maid of honor. So you got to take the good with the bad. So I love it.
Yeah, and, like I said, I just turned 40. And so it's like you kind of have a reflection on how things happen and why they happen. Sure. And everything does happen for a reason. Literally everything happens for a reason. And, I don't know if you're a spiritual person at all, but I am. I believe in a higher power. I believe in God, and, Jesus has a plan for us. And so, you just gotta, it is what it is. It's hard not to dwell on things sometimes. Like, if I would have done this, if I would have moved that way, I find myself caught up a lot. Like, if I would have done this, if I would have done that, would I have, could I have, should I have, would this have happened, would that have happened? But the answer is no. As much as you think you're in control, you're not. And the minute you realize you're not in control, it's better from there. So
okay, I like that. I like how you said that. I want to ask you some favorite questions. Okay, so you just tell me some of the favorite things based upon the questions I asked. Are you ready, Lauren?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
I do like to cook. My favorite meal. Favorite meal I like to cook or favorite meal I like to eat?
Both, if you want to answer them.
I mean, I have lobster. I eat lobster because I'm not going to cook it.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I like me some lobster. So you the one that, you put the little thing onto the neck and then you crack the tails and get the juices everywhere.
Good. That is good stuff. You can, right. But, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot to go get some fresh lobsters from the store and watch them squeal in the pot.
Yeah, it is a lot. Okay, so what meal do you like to cook?
I like to cook. I like to cook just about everything. But I mean, anything I can saute or pan fry with like a little bit of butter and garlic, I enjoy. Goodness. So, I like to make risotto. It's pain in the ass, but I do like to make some risotto because it comes out really good.
Oh my goodness, man, my mouth watering right now. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I like the process of cooking and, kind of just like I recently was able to get a nice gas range because I moved back to a state where there's, I can have a gas stove because in Florida, when I lived in Florida in the South, like it's all electric. It's not the same like process of like moving the pan across the open flame. So
sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
I like to make lasagna too. I like to make lasagna. I like to make my own pasta. I enjoy that. I like to make ravioli, all the Italian things. So
I like that. That's pretty cool.
All the things that are not good for you.
That's okay. Sometimes you're gonna have to have some good things, some things that's not good for you. I should say.
Right.
That pasta, though, I love it. Okay. Favorite concert you've ever attended?
Favorite concert I've ever attended. Interesting. Let's see.
That's a good one right here because it got you thinking. I like it.
It's a good one. This is a good one. Because there's so many and it goes back so far and it's about more than who the band is and what so want to say probably I went to a Lollapalooza in Chicago like
Oh my. Okay.
2010, 11, maybe 2011, maybe.
Yeah.
And the reason it was my favorite, not necessarily because who was playing, because I don't even know if I can tell you all the bands that played, but there were a lot of them, was because I went with my husband. He wasn't my husband at the time. He was my boyfriend at the time. And, we went to all like, the whole weekend of the festival. We stayed with friends of mine from college, from Penn State. Another reason why Penn State was good, because I have many friends that are lifelong friends from there.
Mhm.
We went to the show. We went to the show, and before kids, before marriage, and it was a lot of fun. So
Okay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm very familiar with Lollapalooza. I believe that was in Grant Park in
yeah,
Chicago.
yeah,
I'm very familiar with that because I have family in Chicago that have went to Lollapalooza. Obviously, that's where I was born, so I still go back there quite a bit to visit family and stuff. But my favorite concert, which I'm glad you said 2011, because that's also was my favorite concert at the time. I was 24 in 2011, and I was like, okay, you know what? I haven't been to like a big time concert at this point in my life, and I
right,
went to the Kanye Jay-Z Watch the Throne concert
yeah.
in
That had to
2011.
be pretty cool.
That was pretty amazing. That was, and actually, it followed up a couple of years later by me going to the Drake Lil Wayne concert. I was in Atlanta in the time. I was in the South as well, so it was
Yeah,
pretty cool to go to those two concerts. That's my opinion.
yeah.
This next question is about favorite restaurant. What's your favorite restaurant there?
In Pittsburgh.
Yeah, where you're at right now.
Okay. There's a place called Monterey Bay Fish Grotto. It's up on Mount Washington. You like go up an elevator and it overlooks the whole city. It's got a great view, but the food's actually just really good too. And it's been around forever, but they've consistently continued to elevate their food, and it's good. So,
I'm gonna
but
have to go there.
I've lived in some really good food cities though, and so that's Houston, Texas is a great food city. So when I lived there for 2 years, I was just like, everywhere you went was out of this world. Everywhere you went. And that
I
kind of
agree.
ruined me. So that kind of ruined me. But yeah.
I feel that. I do have a brother in Houston. Just recently went there last Christmas, not this past one, but the last Christmas for 22. I do have a brother in Pittsburgh there. I'm gonna say this, and this is probably unpopular, but Hershey Park to me is overrated.
Oh,
Uh,
Hershey's not even in Pittsburgh.
is it not?
No, it's all the way on the other side of the state. It has nothing to do with Pittsburgh. It's like over by Harrisburg. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
we have Kennywood here.
that's what it is. Sorry,
Yeah.
Kennywood. That's right. Kennywood is overrated. Hershey Park is
Okay.
Harrisburg. Yes. I just thought
Well,
when I
because
went
did you
there, I was
come
like,
were people like, oh, you got to go to Kennywood, you got to go to Kennywood, like, is this big deal?
right, right,
Yeah, I mean, it's just what we have. But here's the thing, though. I mean, this is what's cool about it. Okay, so you gotta appreciate it for what it is, and maybe like next time you come back, you'll think about this and appreciate it for what it is. So it is not this big corporate amusement park like a Disney or a Busch Gardens or whatever, right? It's
right.
just like, I mean, it's been there since 1898. It was a trolley stop like park, right? And it's just continued to evolve. And so that's what's cool about it, is it just this like traditional family amusement park that's been there forever. And they still have some cool and fun roller coasters to ride. So they've got like 2 steel coasters and 3 wooden coasters, which is a lot for just some like traditional like family amusement park. So that's what's special and unique about it. And when you grew up in Pittsburgh, there's a lot of memories attached to it. So like
Okay.
every little community in the Pittsburgh area, they would have a community day where it was your community's day to go to Kennywood. It was just your community was at Kennywood Park. So when I was growing up, I was from a little town called Monongahela, and my mom still lives there. And so there'd be Monongahela Community Day, and it was always like the first Wednesday in August. And so
Okay.
you go, and Kennywood Day, it's like the only day of the year you go to Kennywood, all right? The only day of the year you go on Community Day. And
Right.
everybody goes, there's a whole community picnic. My great aunt used to, there's picnic shelters there. So you can still, this is what's special about Kennywood too. You can bring in a cooler and a whole thing full of food, right? So I imagine like you're a black guy. I imagine you have a black family, like food is a big part of your culture, right? So I imagine you have some relatives that if this was available to them at an amusement park, a picnic shelter, they would have ribs and baked beans and mac and cheese and whatever else, right? Because that's what my, white girl family had. It was like, all this stuff. My Aunt B would bring it. They had all that. So you go and they just bring it. And you can go as a kid and you can stop back and forth to the picnic shelter and eat whatever it is that your great aunt made and whatever your grandma made and whatever. And it's all there, all this picnic food, all this potato salad and Jello pretzel salad and whatever the hell else you want to eat. And then you can go ride this stuff and come back. And so like once a year you would go to Kennywood. Right. And so the reason that Pittsburghers rave about Kennywood is because they have this nostalgic memory about it. It attaches just such good, wholesome feelings of family and childhood. If you're an outsider and you come in and you walk into that park and you're like, what is this? This place is a joke. It's like you have no idea. But for a Pittsburgher, it's about community. Kennywood was a community park. I
love it.
So yeah, but yeah, you would go once a year. And I mean, I remember as a kid being like so excited I couldn't sleep the night before Kennywood Day, because that's all you would do. It was just so much simpler then. But now, people have season passes. There's 3 local amusement parks that are there's one called Idlewild that's like up near the mountains. It's really pretty. It's shaded and it's more for like little kids. But there's that one, Kennywood, and there's a water park, and they're all owned by the same people. And so people get season passes now. So these kids go to Kennywood all the time. So there's it's sort of like lost that charm and specialness about it. But, they do so much more now. Like, they have like Christmas holiday nights and they have Halloween nights and all that. And so I just took my kids there for, in the week between Christmas and New Year's, we went and went to Kennywood for the holiday stuff. And, they're 4 and 1 and they loved it. They thought it was the best thing ever. So, and you could go for $15. So there's that.
That's not bad. Most amusement parks cost a lot of money. That's for sure.
A lot of money. No right. Doubt. So yeah, it's sort of just you gotta take all that with it, all the culture with it and everything. And so if you ever come visit your brother again and you go to it, go and ask him if you can find some of the picnic shelters. And I bet there'll be a family there that's having their family reunion in the picnic shelter at Kennywood that you could crash. And then you're going to message me and be like, oh my gosh, Lauren, I had the baked beans. I had the potato salad. It was great. I
will definitely hit you up if I ever come to Pittsburgh. When I come back to Pittsburgh, I should say, because I've been there a few times. I definitely want to catch some games. And actually that leads me to my next favorite question, which is favorite sport you like to watch on TV and favorite sport you like to attend in person.
Well, I used to like to watch football. I was a big football girl, obviously growing up in Western PA, going to Penn State, watch the Steelers. I used to like to watch football. I watch no sports on TV now because I have 2 children. So now somehow my husband that just walked past me, he still has time to watch every sport that ever existed. But, that's his, like, once you have kids, like you have to figure out like, where's my brain shut off time going to go to? And my brain shut off time goes to like mindless TV. He still gets his watching sports in. Of course. But I just feel like I have to watch and pay attention. Like sports to me is like news. It's like current events. And so it just feels like it doesn't feel like a way to shut off my brain. So, hopefully my kids get into watching football with us, but, obviously love to, I do like to go to football games, but I really like to go to baseball games though. Just because of the whole atmosphere, but it's a lot of fun. Actually, when we lived in Houston, we used to go to the Astros games quite a bit. It was a few years before they had their World Series runs, but they were starting to get good and we got to see a no-hitter, which was really cool. So I like baseball, I think, better than football games because it's just fun. It's just a fun, like you can kind of passively be at the game. On TV, watch football, obviously. So as of late, nothing, literally nothing. Kids. Kids. That's all I do is kids.
I understand. I
In
totally
every
understand
Disney
that.
movie that's come out.
That is crazy. I love it though. I love it. Okay. So let me ask you this next question, which has to do with your leaving of the journalist, right? What made you transition from being an investigative reporter? And I know you were an adjunct professor too at Valencia College, you taught, but what made you want to go into law? Like most people
So,
be like, I don't know most people that would transition from that journalism that many years and then go into law.
I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people do it, so I'm not that special, which kind of sucks because I'm having a hard time finding a job. Um, but so this is interesting. I've been asked this question a lot, and at the time, so you have to go back to the time when I decided to do it. It was 2020 when I took
Okay.
the LSAT, and I
Yep.
started law school in the fall of 2021. So in 2020, the pandemic had happened, and we got this glimpse of like getting to work from home. And I I had a little baby. My older daughter was like 9, 10 months old. And I was in Florida though. And we worked from home for like a half a second. And then they were like, oh no, you gotta come back in the station and this and that, whatever. So like we're reporting on how dangerous it is and the pandemic's bad and all this stuff. But like I'm working for this company that's like not at all like practicing what they're preaching, you know?
Right.
Even though I fully wholeheartedly didn't think that we weren't providing misinformation. I mean, I was going on talking to the best doctors. I was going inside ICUs and showing the virus for what it was. But our station ownership just didn't really buy into having us work from home at all in any way, shape, or form. So I'm watching, 20 somethings get COVID and be out sick for like 2.5, 3 weeks. Yeah, you can walk behind me. What are you doing? Oh, sorry, I was talking to my husband. And I had this little baby at home. And
Right.
so I was just in a constant state of anxiety, right? And
Okay.
all I could see was like, I need to do something else because I can't do this anymore. I can't work in this profession that at the point in time I was making all right money, but it wasn't as good of money as, other people I knew that were doing other things.
Okay.
I was like, I can't do this anymore for this sort of, for this salary, for all this work, for a company that doesn't seem to respect me or my health or well-being. And by the way, everybody in the general public now hates you because you're just getting yelled at that you're lying. And, like I was opening up my email inbox to like eat shit and die, or you hired crisis actors, just all this crazy shit that was just beyond, right?
Right.
In fact, I was looking on my Facebook page from a couple years ago and I saw this video from like right at the start of the pandemic where I like posted where I was like, I have to shut down. I'm turning my phone off all weekend. I'm not going on social media. Like that's how bad it was for me. And I'd forgotten how bad it was for me because sometimes now I'll be like, why did I do this to myself? I had a good job. I liked my job. Why did I do this to myself? But it's good for me to remember how bad it was. It was so bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was really bad. And as much as I loved what I was doing, in a sense, there really aren't any good media companies out there that really truly care about the well-being of their staff. I mean, there are some, I guess, I don't know. I shouldn't say there are none. I mean, there are some. I had the opportunity to do some freelancing for the New York Times, and that was like a totally different experience than working in local TV. It was totally different. I was like, wow, this is crazy. But so, I think there are some out there, but I kind of had this like vision of I'm going to go to law school and I'm going to be able to do what I was doing, investigating things and exposing things, but I'm going to be able to take it to the next level. Or I'm going to be able to support journalists, right? So I'm either going to be able to, be an advocate for people, but a legal advocate instead of a sunshine advocate, or I'm going to be able to be a media and First Amendment journalist and support journalists. So that was sort of my like idea. That's what I was going to do. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do now. To be honest with you, I have no clue. I was supposed to be living in Florida. The other thing is that we were supposed to be living in Florida. And that was where my husband, I was in Florida, and that was where my husband's job was. And he was a golf course superintendent, and there was no, like, we were in this golf market where like, this was it. This was like, it was like Pitts for him. Like he was not going to leave. Right. Like this was like the golf market where it paid the best, and he'd worked all this time to be a superintendent. And so like, we weren't going to hop around the country for me to find some golden unicorn media company that might treat us better for me to make less money than him.
Right.
So it was like, I got to do something else. So I spent a lot of time applying for like other jobs and just thought about, okay, I would do these interviews for like PR or whatever. And I would just think about it like, this sounds horrible. Like I'd rather stab myself in both eyes than do this for a living. This is horrible. So I thought about, well, maybe I can be an investigative, maybe I can be a PI. I was like, maybe I can be a PI, right?
Right.
Right. Investigative experience. And then I find out in the state of Florida, you have you have to like work unpaid under another PI for like 40 hours a week for 2 years or some crap to get a PI license. And so it's basically just like a way so that like retired law enforcement can be PIs. So I'm talking to this one PI and he's like, why don't you just go to law school? Because if you can go to law school, it's going to take the same amount of time. And then you're going to have a JD, and then you can be a PI, get your PA license because you have a JD, and you won't have to do all this. Right. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know if I can afford that. And so I had, meantime, there's all these local law schools everywhere. And they're like, well, if you do well enough on your LSAT, you can go for basically free or nothing. Right. So I started studying for the LSAT, took it, got a high enough score to get full rides at a couple places, and then ultimately decided to go to Mitchell Hamlin out in Minnesota because they have this blended hybrid program where I wouldn't have to be in the car all this time. So like these schools in Florida, I would have had to drive either to Tampa or Miami, or there was one in Naples that gave me a full ride, but I didn't really want to go there.
Okay.
So it was like, but I'd have to be like on campus, like butt in seat. So I was like, well, that's not going to really resolve the problem of what I've been dealing with, which is like all this time away from my kids and, whatever. So I picked Mitchell Hamlin, and best decision I made in terms of picking a law school for that family work-life balance, because in September of 2022, Hurricane Ian came in and completely, devastated all of Fort Myers community. Luckily, we had evacuated ahead of it, but our house got destroyed and we were displaced, and I was displaced to Western PA. But because I was in a program that was remote hybrid, I was able to continue school and not have to like live in a hurricane zone. I just lived at my parents' house. So at 39 years old, me and my kids are like living in my childhood bedroom in Western Pennsylvania.
Right.
And I realized all the things I missed about it here and I loved about it here.
Yeah.
And my husband and I were separated. He was down there repairing the house and working at his job. And I basically was like, I'm not coming back to that. I'm not doing that again. I'm not going to deal with this every year. The state of Florida didn't take it very seriously. They didn't evacuate in time. People died. I had neighbors that were like in the rafters of their roofs with their kids because they were at work the day before they were supposed to evacuate.
Right.
And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I spent 15 years basically in this state telling people how to prepare for hurricanes. And I just watched an entire community, an entire state not really be prepared for it. Right. Not completely because they were not thinking it was serious, but partially because they weren't being warned. So, they weren't being told by leaders in emergency management, you got to get out, And, and a lot of people died. And I just said, if I'm going to live in this state and I'm going to be married to someone who's from Florida, who, because he's from Florida, doesn't take hurricanes seriously, I can't do this. I just can't. I can't do it with two kids. It was one thing when I was like, working at the news and whatever, and it was just us and we didn't have kids. But so we left and we came to Western PA. Here I am. But because I went to the school I went to, I was able to stay in school. I'll be graduating in a year. My GPA is still really high. Once now I was in a new geographic region, so I was able to go. I went and worked for the West Virginia Attorney General over the summer, which was an awesome experience. I would not have had that experience had the hurricane not happened. I'm going to work for the Pennsylvania Attorney General in the spring. And then after that, I do not know. I don't have a clue what I'm going to do because I'm starting from scratch in terms of networking and letting people know who I am. Sure. And finding a really hard time finding law firms in the greater Pittsburgh area that are interested in me because I don't go to a local law school.
Right.
They don't know who I am as a journalist. Like in Florida, I was a known entity. So I think it might have been a lot easier to find that job and transition. And I already had inroads in that regard before I went to school. So I'm totally starting from scratch. But it's a lot of I do a lot of hand wringing over it all the time. I'm like, did I make the right call?
Sure. It's natural. It's natural to do.
But for many reasons, it was the right call because there were all those things that were going on that weren't going to change. And now I'm in a position that if I do decide to go back to journalism, I have all this other body of perspective of being someone that stepped out for a minute, of being someone that went and got a law degree, did some law internships and all that. If I decide to go back to journalism, I think I have a whole other body of experience to use to be a better reporter. Mm-hmm. But the hope is that I can be a practicing attorney. So, sorry, one of my kids' books just went off. Look, but mainly though, right now I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like, see, I just have kids' books everywhere.
I see that, Lauren. I see that. That's awesome. That is awesome. No, I totally understand that. Through that, though, the question that I have is your mental health. Because it seems like your mental health was definitely affected by a lot of things that transpired that you just talked about. Now, how do you maintain good mental health?
I think if at the time, it was interesting, like during the time of 2020, when that was all going on, like I was seeing a therapist about all of it, wow. I was seeing a therapist. I was seeing a therapist, everything was going on. And he looked at me in the eye and he said, if your job is causing you this much distress, that you're sitting in the parking lot before you're going in and having to breathe to get yourself calmed down before you walk in, you need to leave. And I was like, but I don't have anything else. Like, what else am I going to go to? And I wasn't, we didn't have the financial situation that I could just walk away without something,
I understand that. Yep.
So, I was like, we're doing it now. I'm not bringing income in, but like, it's because it's temporary, right? Like it's like there's an end to this. Like there's an end to where my husband's the sole breadwinner. If I did it any longer than 4 years of school, it would be absolutely virtually impossible. And we had to make all these moves to get to that position. Like we took advantage of a super low interest rate, refinance, we paid off a car, we did all this crazy stuff so that we could afford for me to back out and not, and then we took kids out, we took the younger daughter out of childcare basically so that I basically just watched her all day and did school. But then I got pregnant with another one. Wow, my first semester of school, had another baby. So in no ways has this been a good financial decision for my family. So I do need to return to work. I need to get a job whenever I'm done with school. Right. But, and so that was the thing. I couldn't just go oh, okay, that was fun. I had a nice career. Now I'm just going to be a stay-at-home mom and I'm going to do that. Like that wasn't an option for me, that's not an option for most women when they become mothers. It's just not an option, and if it is an option, you have to make severe sacrifices. And I do like being a mom and staying home with the kids and doing all this stuff around the house. Like today, before I went and did this, like I had all my chores around the house to do. Like, I was doing all the mom stuff.
Sure.
But if I didn't have something else for me, like for my brain, like I know, like, okay, like I'm going to do all this. I'm going to do the laundry. I'm going to put their stuff away. I'm going to do that, yada, yada, yada. Then I'm like, oh, I'm going to talk to this guy about my journalism career and going to law school. And then later tonight, I'm going to, study for this class I'm taking that's like kind of, stretching my brain a little bit.
Yep.
I don't think if I didn't have that extra like thing where I'm stretching my brain, I could do this part of it. I don't think I could. So
I like it. I like it. I like your candidness, by the way. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, so it's worked out, but that's where so for my mental health, so the leaving, as much as everything's been crazy, going through the hurricane and going through what I did and juggling law school and all of that accumulation of stuff was not as bad as a bad day as a local TV news reporter. That's how hard that job is on your psyche.
Sure.
Because you have to be perfect in everything you say. Like you have to be completely accurate, but it has to also be interesting that people will watch. You have to look nice while you're doing it. You're not getting paid all that well for all that pressure. And then everybody in the community hates you. They hate you. They absolutely hate you. So it's a huge like mind fuck, and
hell yeah,
it's hard to do it for a long time. It's just it's not sustainable. So unfortunately, people have lost a lot of respect for journalists and the mainstream media or whatever you call it. And in some instances, yeah, probably rightly so, but it's such a slippery slope. It's such a slippery slope that we're like just trusting what we see on TikTok and what we see, all this disinformation that's out there. It's just such a slippery slope. And, I just thought I'd be better for the world in this position than in that side. So I gotta figure it out. We'll do something with this law degree that makes the world a better place for my kids. So
man, I'm definitely sure you will. You seem like you got your head on your shoulders. Obviously, adversity hits us all in different ways. And you definitely have had some adverse situations that you've had to fight through. But like I said, the resiliency really shows the character of you, your husband, your family, people helping you out. Everybody needs a helping hand for sure. And you definitely got that. Now
I appreciate that.
No question. No question. I want to transition though to this or that. Okay. So what this or that is that I'm going to throw two things at you. Okay. You choose one or the other based upon what I give you. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so Popeyes or KFC?
Popeyes.
Okay. All right. I was like, man, I hope she chooses the right one. Yeah, that would be Popeyes. Yes, indeed. Okay. We off to a good start. Do you like chicken wings?
Oh, hell yeah. I like chicken wings.
Okay, here we go.
I love chicken wings.
Barbecue or lemon pepper?
Lemon pepper.
Okay.
No barbecue. Mm-mm. Actually, I prefer hot wings. I prefer just like buffalo hot.
Okay, buffalo hot. Okay,
I know that wasn't an option, but like that gives you context for why I chose lemon pepper. I don't like barbecue.
Absolutely. Okay. Do you like bone in or boneless?
Bone in.
So you like to get messy with the wings?
Yes.
Okay. I like it. I dig that. All right. You got to pick one of these Steeler players. Which one would you like more? Do you like Ben Roethlisberger or Hines Ward?
Hines Ward.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I like that. Which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
Bowling.
Are you a good bowler?
No.
Do you need the bumpers?
No, I'm not that bad, but I'm not good.
Okay, all right. Well, at least you ain't that damn bad. Because if you had the bumpers, I'd be like, oh Lord,
I could break 100 every game.
Okay. That's decent. That's all right, I guess. There are 10 times that you do bowls, so I guess you break that 100
Right.
pretty good.
I mean, I've gotten strikes, spares, all that. I mean, I haven't been bowling in a while. We got to go bowling sometime soon.
That's why I say if you don't need to use the bumpers, then you good to go. That's all I.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
We'll
Okay,
go
here we
bowling,
go.
get some chicken wings at the bowling alley. Sounds like a good Friday night.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt. This next three have to do with music. Which music artist would you rather go see? Would you rather go see Beyonce or Taylor Swift?
Beyonce.
Okay, I like that. Which music artist would you rather see? Morgan Wallen or Luke Combs?
Neither.
Ooh.
I couldn't tell you a single song that either of them sing.
Okay. Let me put this. Who would you rather see? J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar?
I guess Kendrick Lamar, because I don't really know J. Cole at all.
Oh Lord, Lauren, come on now. Oh Lord, what music do you listen to?
Like alternative rock, and old school, like classic rock.
Okay. So here we go. Which artist would you rather see? Would you rather see I would say Aerosmith, or would you rather see Def Leppard?
Well, I've seen Aerosmith and I have not seen Def Leppard, so Def Leppard.
Okay, I like that. Which city would you rather go to visit, right? Would you rather go to New York City or Chicago?
Probably New York, because I've been to Chicago more.
Okay, New York City. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. Okay. I got two more for this or that.
Okay.
Now, which pasta would you rather have? Would you rather have ziti or Alfredo?
Okay, well, ziti's a type of pasta and Alfredo's a type of sauce. So that's a. You mean like ziti? You mean like ziti with red sauce or Alfredo? Yeah. I'd rather have the ziti than the Alfredo.
Okay. I like that. I'm a ziti guy too. Anything cheesy, I'm with it. I like that. Okay. Last one of the this or that. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? If you had to pick one, either 51, 49%. Hockey or basketball?
Hockey.
Okay. I like that. I do. I've been meaning to get out there to watch a Penguins game too. Sid the Kid's one of my favorite hockey players. So I love me some Sid the Kid. I just love Pittsburgh as far as that sports.
We just don't have a basketball culture really in this town other than University of Pittsburgh basketball. So that's, we just don't have it. So you grow up around Pittsburgh, unless you play basketball, it's really hard to get into basketball because there's not a professional team. There's just not really a basketball culture in this area. So
I like it. Okay. You did okay. You did okay on this or that. Okay. And listen, most people, they get stumbled on questions like that, but you did pretty good. So I like it. Okay.
I mean, there's just two answers. I don't know how you get stumbled, but it's just an opinion.
You be surprised with some of the guests that I have on here. That's for sure.
Okay.
If you wasn't doing law or journalism, what profession would you pursue?
I probably would, and this is crazy. Like, I would never really do this because it would be too much. I'd probably like to have a restaurant,
Wow.
Like have my own restaurant, like or just like a little, like, just some sort of like bed and breakfast or something,
So you'll get into the culinary business is what you're saying.
Yeah, but not like, I don't know, not like high end, just like home cooking stuff that's good,
All right. I'm with it. Listen, any woman that can cook good, you already got my. So I'm with you.
I don't know. Who knows if I can cook good? According to my 10-year-old niece, I undersalt because I made some soup for her the other day and she thought it was undersalted.
Well, listen, I'm speaking for a man and speaking probably on behalf of your husband and your kids. Trust me, if you didn't cook good, they wouldn't keep coming back. I'm just telling you that right now.
That's true.
That is very true.
I like to cook. I don't know if it's, I guess it's all depending on who's eating it, if it's good or not. So
this is true. This is very true. Okay, I like that. What advice would you give to someone that wants to break into either journalism or law, And what is some advice that someone has gave you that you hold on dearly to?
Okay, so I'll start with journalism. If you want to go into journalism, you have to love it and you have to be passionate about it, because if you're not, all the things I described, you're not going to hold on for very long. A lot of people way younger than me lasted way longer than me in the profession, and I'm still like, I'm in this like academic pause from it, right? Where I'm going to get my JD and hoping to get the JD and hoping to like be a lawyer that just elevates what I already did as a journalist.
Sure.
But a lot of people leave a lot sooner. A lot of people only last like 5 years and they go into PR and they do whatever, So if you don't have passion for it, if you don't love it, then it's not going to work. Kids book again. Sorry. I'm not sitting here mooing. This is my kids. I just touched it again. Okay. So, if you
Okay.
Such a mom now. So if you so that would be that. Best advice I ever got in my journalism career was that when it's coming to writing and performance to get better,
right,
you pick one person, one trusted mentor to listen to, and you take their advice and you follow that advice. Because if you start trying to listen to all this different advice on how to be a better writer, how to be a better presenter, you're just going to be all over the place and you're not going to develop a style. So you pick one mentor and you listen to that person. So that's, but you have to, it might take you a while to find that mentor, and that mentor might change as your career, improves. But you can't you can't be hearing all this noise and putting it into your product, because otherwise it's not going to be good. So that's the advice for that. For going to law school, I would say if you have the opportunity, unfortunately, it seems like in law school, the high-end schools do matter. You want to work at some elite firm, you want to work for the U.S. Attorney's Office, you want to clerk for a judge, they like to hire from the top 14 schools. I had good enough grades, good enough LSAT score, I could have gone to any of those schools, but I wasn't at the place in my life that I could do that. So if you're at the place in your life where you can go wherever and you can get in one of these schools, I guess go to it if that's what you want out of the legal profession. But if you don't necessarily want to be at one of those firms, go somewhere where you can go for free or cheap. Like, I'll come out of law school with no debt, so I don't have to make the hard decisions that other emerging lawyers have had to make and have to take a job that maybe they don't want. I can be selective because I'm not going to have this big debt hanging over me. That's, but I'm still, but to be determined in terms of law. I do have some really good mentors in the legal profession, and some things they've told me too is that make sure that you're, when you're interning somewhere or getting that experience, that you're working for really good attorneys so that you're learning how to do it the right way. There's a lot of rules that are involved in law, rules of the court, rules of, just engagement, if you will, rules of civil procedure. And if you are working for an inexperienced or not as, competent of an attorney,
right,
you're not going to learn those things the right way. So if you learn them the right way and you get into practice or you're doing them the right way, you'll be better off. So that was great advice I had from one of my mentors. And that's why I sort of went the attorney general's office route in working with people. And I worked with some fantastic attorneys at the West Virginia Attorney General's office over the summer, and they let me do so much and learn things. And I'm really excited about starting my internship with the Pennsylvania AG in a week or two here. And hopefully I get the same amount of, knowledge out of it. So, but yeah, I mean, attorneys are a dime a dozen, and, you could go work for, a solo practice personal injury attorney that knows one line of practice, and maybe that's all they know. And maybe they're not even really that ethical about it. But if you really want to do this, like my mentor has said, if you really want to do this, learn to do it the right way.
Sure, absolutely.
And government attorneys are a great way to find that, because government jobs, they hire the best law students, they hire the better attorneys, from what I understand. So, yeah.
I love it. No, I love that. Obviously, I've been talking to Lauren Sweeney Brown, and she has been absolutely amazing and interesting. Don't know why she said she wouldn't be, but this has been a very interesting conversation with you for sure. I need two people. Okay, I need two people that you think will be pretty cool to come on this podcast and talk to me, and I need your help to recruit them on from LinkedIn.
Okay, so do you want them now, or do you want me to think about it and then?
If you got them now,
any profession or any kind of like from anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be journalism, could be law, could be anything.
So I want you to talk to my friend David Cicito. He's one of my friends in El Paso, Texas, and he's one of my friends from law school. And he has like the most inspiring story of anyone I know, and he can tell you all about it. And he's a really positive person, really positive guy, really likes sports, so you'll like him. And above all, he loves himself, so he will love somebody talking about himself. So that's one person. I will connect you to him. You should definitely talk to him. And I'll have to think about the other person for a minute. I will have to think about the other person on who you should talk to. You should definitely talk to David, though. He's one of the coolest people I've met in a really long time, and just love that dude. But yeah. He's not from law. He owns a family business. I mean, he's not from journalism. He owns a family business. Like he owns a locksmith business. But like, I'm just going to give you that. But he was the youngest person to run for mayor of El Paso, Texas, his hometown. Wow. He almost won. He almost won. He lost by a narrow margin. And he is in law school because of a serious tragedy that fell on his family. And he's out there fighting for it. And I think that when you work hard, like, you're kind of like, you want to talk to a grinder, like talk to that guy. He's a grinder. So
no doubt. Shout out to David. I'm looking forward to connecting with him and the next person that you do come up with. This has once again been a dope.
Did someone recommend me, or did you just find me?
No. I just found you. Like I said, you was a journalist. I said investigative media journalist. I'm like, cool, awesome. Let me reach out. Let me see if she wants to talk. You did respond, which I do appreciate you doing that, because it's been a dope conversation, getting to know you, getting to know your adversity. You went to Penn State. You were a professor. Now you're in law school. You're an investigative reporter for 15 plus years. You like alternative rock music. Not really a Beyonce or Taylor Swift person. That's okay. And that's all right.
I would see Beyonce over Taylor Swift any day, because I just think, I mean, no disrespect to Taylor Swift, but I just think that Beyonce's a better artist. I think that there would be a better, I think that like, I'm a very cerebral person, right? So like, anybody that's doing concept albums, I'm going to go see their show over somebody that's just like, like capitalizing on the mass populace. Good. I mean, Taylor Swift is a wonderful businesswoman. She's great. Yeah. I would be lying if I didn't say I don't sing along to her songs from time to time, but like, if I have to pick between the two, I'm going to pick the better artist. So
no question. And I would definitely probably go with Beyonce myself if I was asking, if you asked me to choose, for sure. You twisted my arm on one of them, for sure. I always like to end my podcast episodes like this. Is there anything else you would like to add, Lauren, before we conclude?
I think I said way too much, and I just really hope that anything I said doesn't come off the wrong way and get me into a lot of trouble. So.
I don't think so. I think you are authentic. When you're authentic, that's kind of the best damn interviews that you can have. And I love
conversations that you can have. So I mean, hopefully you don't cut this up in some way that it makes me sound like a crazy person. So I don't know. I didn't, and against my better judgment, I meant to like watch some of your other podcasts and be like, all right, what am I getting into? But I didn't. I just like trusted you. I was like, I'm just going to trust him. I'm just going to come on. And I'm just going to let him ask me questions. And for better or worse, I'm just going to answer them.
And you are very candid, very open. You seem like you relaxed through more of the episode, which was great. I loved it. And I love having you on here. Now, you definitely got to keep in touch with me, because like I said, when I touch down in Pittsburgh, I'm going to have to hit you up. I need some spots.
All right. Sounds good. And good luck to you, man. And good for you for out here, like, grinding, doing a podcast and doing everything else. I'm envious. Do you have many people that listen?
I do. There's people that react to it. There's people that listen to it. I don't have as much subscribers as I want to now, but I'm starting to get more little by little, and people are starting to take interest into it. But I'm doing more episodes now because I kind of took a break a little bit, but now I'm back to it.
Hey, you know what? I mean, it's like if it's still getting you that like little bit of like where you get to talk to people, meet people, then that's all it's, I think about that all the time. I'm like, I should just do something like this. I love talking to people.
Sure,
but
absolutely. I think you should. If you think about doing it, please go ahead. I like I said, I love talking to all different kind of people in all different kind of states, professions, doesn't matter. And you've been absolutely great and very entertaining. So I don't know.
right.
Like I said, don't ever think that you're not, because you certainly are. You are definitely.
Well, hopefully somebody hears it and offers me a job. So.
I hope so too. Let's just end it at that. I love how you ended at that. You take care and enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
All right, take care. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.